Hello, welcome to another weekly video. Today I'm going to be continuing my story again. I apologize for making so many videos about it. I didn't really intend for it to be so long, but um, I guess there's just so many details I've had to include into it. So anyway, I'll go ahead and pick up from where I was. I think I was kind of talking about, the boundaries I had to put in place. With my mother. I had to start basically telling her no. I really hadn't done that much in my life with her, and I could tell she was pretty, um, used to that behavior, um, and she just had so much control of my life. I just had to stop allowing so many things, like I talked about last time. She she just she wanted a lot of access to me. Like she wanted to be able to call me every week, sometimes more than once a week. Um, it kind of felt like she wanted to be friends. And I know it sounds strange. Like for the most part, it might have been okay, except for what happened when I was growing up living in her house. She was extremely abusive, and we had just never dealt with it and never talked about it. And so it just really bothered me to try to act like nothing had happened and just try to be her friend. That's just how it felt to me when I moved out. Just she seemed a lot happier because I it felt like she didn't have to pay for me anymore. She didn't have to take care of me anymore. And again, I don't really know what her side of it is. This is just how I felt. But things really changed once I left home. It's almost like she realized that she wasn't gonna have me around all the time, and she seemed to want to be around me, and she didn't really seem to have any problems with me anymore. Like when I was living at home, she was always angry at me and upset at me, and if I ever asked her to do anything, she'd get upset, and everything was kind of flipped upside down from that when I left. So I tried to kind of just put everything behind me and not and not like um talk about it. But unfortunately, it was so extreme what I went through growing up. I couldn't do that. I had to talk about it. So while I was trying to put some boundaries in place, um, I started trying to say no to some things. Like, um, well, I remember one example was it wasn't really saying no, but she would call me every week, and I remember at one point when she would call, I finally remember saying to her, because I think the calls were kind of upsetting to me. Not that we would ever get into an argument, but it just um, the pretending like nothing happened was just getting harder and harder, and she just treat me like she never had any problems with me. So she would call, and I would say to her, I started saying to her, well, every time you call, I'd like to talk about one thing that happened in the past. Um, you know, um, I think that would help me with these conversations. And and she just, I could tell she wasn't really okay with it. We tried it a couple times, and she just, um, I think that she felt like I was interrogating her, looking down on her. I could tell she felt a certain way about it, and she just stopped calling me. So that's kind of an example of a boundary. I'm just trying to speak up for myself. I'm trying to say no to things that made me uncomfortable. Um, I did try to start bringing up some things from the past. It took me a long time to really just, well, in direct words, to say, I had a bad childhood. I remember sitting down with her one day when she came over, to visit and trying to just read her a letter that um that kind of talked about, how unhappy I was growing up, and she I think she just it felt like she apologized. I think she apologized, and she said she kind of just seemed like she was apologizing um to get me to leave her alone. That's just how it felt like. Um, it just felt like she was uncomfortable, so she just apologized to get things back to a better place. Um, and then I remember, after that, trying to. I guess I really didn't feel like we had talked enough, but trying to get back to a place of um, feeling like nobody was mad at each other, but she just started to she was hanging her head and um and like seemed really sad and stuff, and I don't know what other word to use except pouting. That's how it felt like. She was just she seemed really unhappy after the conversation. So I tried to come up to her and I tried to say to her, well, it's okay. You were a good mother, um and then I think she tried to finish and just leave real quick. I think she got uncomfortable, but um, I don't think it was a few days later before she was acting like nothing happened again. But for me, I never felt like I got any kind of like good conversation about the past. Like I said, it didn't really feel like a genuine apology. It didn't really feel like um we could really talk about what happened, and so actually, uh, that whole process actually made me feel worse. It seemed to bring up more anger and stuff for me because of how she acted like, um, I guess she wasn't really sorry. I guess that's what really bothered me. And there was another occasion I think that she came to church, and she came to the church that I was going to, and um, the um, the people leading the service tried to get me and her up in the front, and they tried to get us to, you know, apologize to each other and forgive each other. That whole thing felt like it was a show too. Um, and she didn't really seem like she was genuinely sorry then. Um, so my point is, I've tried several times um, to kind of bring up the past and get it resolved. But each time I bring it up, it's kind of just shrugged off. And I mean, if you know anything about a narcissist, that's kind of common. They're not ever going to admit to what they did to you. They don't really know how. So there were several situations like that. I could tell she really didn't even know why I hated her. She couldn't understand that. I remember it got so bad to where I wrote down a list of some of the things that she did and sent it to her and put it in her neighborhood and all kinds of stuff, trying to just get her to like have some kind of remorse, to admit to something, and she just never would. And again, I sat down with her multiple times, probably two or three times, to just really be like, look, I'm not okay about that, what happened. And she just kept doing different things that indicated that she was not going to have that conversation with me. So again, this is I'm probably trying to describe about 3 or 4 years. It was a lot of back and forth. Sometimes I felt like I needed to reach out to her, and it would always kind of go the same way. One example I had was like, um, I remember my birthday was coming, and I just said, I don't want any contact. Um, for the holidays or something like that. And then, um, I'm sorry, thinking of a different situation, but I remember reaching out and saying something to that effect, and she just started talking about how she had seen all these people that knew me back in my hometown, and she was just basically news and weather trying to catch up, and it just it bothered me that it was just ignored again. Um, so I I kept having to say things that that I guess pushed her away more and more, as she would stop reaching out as often, and it got to where I think the last thing that happened was she was reaching out for Christmas, trying to give us money, and me and my husband money. I told her no. And then the sad part is, after I stopped talking to her, I tried to keep contact with my dad, and he's always been a big supporter for me. But he was still in contact with her too, and she just started to use him to try to get to me. She started sending messages about, could she get our address because she wanted to send us some money, um, and it he I tried to explain to him what was going on. I tried to tell him, well, can you just leave it? Tell her it's just between me and her. It has nothing to do with you. But he just couldn't listen to what I was. Well, he didn't understand what I was saying, and so he would go back and try to say things back to her that kept their relationship going. I guess I'll try to say it like he kind of played both sides. He was saying one thing to her and one thing to me. So I had to stop talking to him too. So unfortunately, I'm not talking to my dad or mother or my stepfather. I'm just not able to because of the things that happened. I tried to explain it. I tried to sit down and talk about it multiple times, but it just couldn't be understood. It couldn't be heard. So that's where things stand right now. Me and my husband, um, I think we've been feeling a lot better not being in contact with them. So that kind of brings us up to today. Um, Maybe the past year or so, I haven't been in contact with them, and things are gradually improving. I mentioned this on some other videos that you know God has kind of told me and my husband to have a child, so that's kind of the next step in our life, and that's kind of the plan for now. But um, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. This will be the last part to my story. So if you have any questions or comments, you can leave them in the comment section. And I thank you for watching. Have a nice day.